Welcome back, guys. So today we're going to go over the 5 things you need in order to make your own indoor garden and grow your own food. So welcome, guys, to my indoor grow area. If you guys haven't subscribed yet and you find some value in my videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate that. Definitely helps us out. So I wanted to go over a couple of different things in the grow room. This grow room area here has been vital for us during the winter time because it gets pretty cold. It gets to freezing temperatures outside. You can't really grow anything in the northern hemisphere very well in the winter time because of freezing temperatures and things like that. So basically what we did is we built a grow room area in our garage. Now I'm going to go over the 5 different things that you're going to need in order to complete your own grow area, and we're going to go over those right now. So first thing is you're going to need some type of structure. So what I did, which I'll take you around here and you can actually see. So we touched on this on the first video, but as you can see, the grow area here, we're going to go into a little bit more depth of how I created this whole grow area structure. So this grow area is 8 feet. So 8 feet from here all the way to here, 8 feet from here all the way to there. And this grow area is 8 feet by 8 feet by about, it's about 6.5 feet, maybe a little bit taller, to this corner down to the bottom. All right, so we have a 8 by 8 by 6.5 foot structure. And essentially this structure, what it's providing for us is an environment that keeps the temperature at a fairly mild and even temperature. And we can adjust that temperature a couple of different ways. The first way is we can add a heater in the wintertime because it does get fairly cold in here still, probably into the mid 50s. So we use a heater in order to raise that temperature a little bit. But you need the structure in order to at least enclose in your temperature and regulate your temperature and humidity. The second thing that you're going to need this poly plastic. Now this is Panda Poly, and this is essentially available at most grow areas. I'll also add some links in the description. But as you can see here, it's basically black on one side and white on the other. And it's fairly thick. You can't really tear through this. This is pretty strong stuff. So it does keep the temperature inside the grow area fairly regulated and even. As you can see, we have some corn growing right here, which we've been trying to harden off out in the sun a few hours a day to try to really get it acclimated to the outside temperature before we plant it. Now, if you don't want to build this kind of structure in your garage using wood framing, which is a very simple 8 by 8 structure, and it basically has a square structure to the bottom and a square structure to the top that's held up by the 6.5 foot boards that are basically going in each corner. I've added also a couple of reinforced structures next to those boards, which I can basically use to hang a couple of eyelets and hang my lights for. Now, if you don't want to use that kind of structure, you could always use a closet or another room available in your house. The only reason why I mainly do this in the garage is because I have the concrete floor. If I get a little water on there, if I get a little soil on there or something else, no big deal. It's really easy to clean up as well. So that's one reason why I don't do it inside. You could also do in a basement, which is a little bit more even temperature, especially staying warm in the wintertime and cool in the summer, or as it gets towards summer, especially if you're taking those transplants outside. But basements are good as well. We decided to do it in our garage here because we had plenty of space, it was easy to clean up, and it was easy to make this 8 foot by 8 foot structure here. But a room like this is a really good way to get your seed started in the springtime before they're quite ready to go outside and get planted. Again, you can use a room like this and you can literally just grow food in it. You could do it all year round if you wanted to. So the third thing is lighting. You need lights. Plants need light to grow. Now these were a bit of an investment for 2 reasons. One, they cost about $200. These are Agritech's Thrive Infinity lights. The great thing about it though is that they're full spectrum. I can grow almost any kind of plant under this kind of lighting, And also, this doesn't kill the electricity bill. These are only 58-watt lights. So they're super high efficiency, a little bit higher on the price range at $200 a pop. I have 3 of them in here. As I mentioned, these lights are full spectrum, so they are going to get the entire spectrum of lighting that the sun normally does, but obviously not as intense. They also are adjustable on these cables, and what those cables do is essentially just allow you to be able to raise or lower your lights. Especially important when you're growing certain types of plants that need more intense light. You can bring those lights down really low, and as they start to grow, you can start to bring them back up. The 4th thing is air movement. Plants have to have air movement in order for the exchange of CO2 and oxygen, which is what they're creating, to be mixed into the air. So when plants take in light and water, they convert that into carbohydrates and oxygen. So super good thing about having fans in your grow area is that essentially every time that leaf starts to flutter, it's a good thing because all that oxygen is coming off the leaf and it's being replaced with CO2, which that's one great thing about going into your grow area is that you could literally go in and you could just start breathing in that oxygen. It's just a really, really oxygen-rich environment. So you going in there and actually tending to your plants on a daily basis, just checking them out, just sometimes talking to them, and just really caring for them, it's a great way to really understand the relationship between plants and people that has really been established since the beginning of time. And when you start to get close to those plants, you are literally feeding them CO2 as they're feeding you oxygen. So it's a great way to just get a breath of fresh air, especially if you live in an area that's very tight and you can't really get fresh air very well, or you live in an area that sometimes has some restrictions to going outside because of smog or air pollution, which happens in some cities. So again, a great way to just regenerate some oxygen into your system and giving that plant the CO2 that it needs. You can just use really any fan that's going to push air around. These are Hydrofarm fans, which are oscillating and also have 3 different speeds. But I also have just a simple oscillating desktop fan, which works just as well. Alright, now the 5th thing, and probably the least important, is all the different accessories that you can add to this system to essentially make it just a little bit better for the plants, make it easier for you. Okay? So the things that I have in my indoor garden area are these yellow tags that you see right here. These yellow sticky traps are for any bugs that will make their way into the grow area. These sticky traps are extremely handy in making sure that any bugs, flies, gnats, anything else that's going to try to come into our indoor environment are going to get stuck to this, and again, kind of taking care of that situation for us. Bugs aren't necessarily a bad thing. It's a sign of life. It's a sign that your plant is growing and it's producing things, and obviously you're wanting something from it, but so is nature. Nature wants something from it as well, including bugs. But obviously we don't want bugs laying larvae and things like that on our plants or eating our plants. We want to eat our plants. We want to consume our plants. So we have the sticky traps in here that basically help us to kind of control that insect population around your plants. The other accessories that we have are these CO2 bags. Again, if you're not in your grow area all the time and you want your plants to grow, they need something that creates CO2, and these are actually mushroom bags that create CO2. There's 2 of them in here. 1 bag per 4x4 area is what these bags are for. And I will link a description to the bags as well as the Panda Plastic. Another thing that I have, this Govee thermostat and humidity detector. Now this is running off of a battery powered, but it also connects to Wi-Fi, and it basically can alert you anytime something happens in your room that either causes a low humidity, a high humidity, low temperature, or high temperature condition in your grow environment. These are about $70 on Amazon, but it's definitely been well worth it, and they're very durable. Alright, so the last thing I have here is actually this insulating foam pad. And you can get these at your local hardware store. I got mine from Lowe's. But what this is 1-inch thick foam pieces that you can cut to length that go in between your garage door sections. And what this will do is create an entire insulated wall along your garage. Now, if you're not using a garage, this doesn't apply to you. But there's a couple great things that this will add other than just for your grow area. One is saving energy by having an insulated garage door will save in heat and it'll save in cooling. Basically, two ways that this system is actually saving us money. It's really easy to set up. The overall cost is really not too much to add this, and it doesn't really add any extra weight. It's not carrying any extra load bearing on the frame of the garage door. So I really recommend this, whether you're doing a grow room or any other addition to your house that you're trying to increase efficiency by having less heat go out your garage door or having more cool air leave your garage. So this is a great addition to have accessory wise. Alright guys, so just to recap, you need the 5 different things. So number 1 was the framing or the enclosure. We need something that is going to hold the temperature, hold the humidity, hold the environment for your plants that you're growing. Number 2, this plastic that we have here is for indoor gardening. And basically this white is really reflective. It brings a lot of light just scattered around the room, really helps plants to grow. The third thing is our lighting. We have to have some type of light source for our plants in order for them to be able to photosynthesize. So having a full spectrum light is really nice. I wouldn't recommend just normal bulbs. They don't put out as much light as needed for plants, especially also being full spectrum. So I do recommend some type of grow light in your grow area. Number 4 is air movement. Remember, plants are trying to photosynthesize. If it's just sitting there and it's really stale, number 1, they can't photosynthesize as well because that air movement isn't coming off the leaf. That oxygen isn't leaving and the CO2 isn't coming back on. And number 5, all those things, those little accessories that tie everything together. The sticky traps, the CO2 bags, the thermostat, the heater, those kinds of things. The insulating the garage part, some things that you don't really think about, but when you set up a grow area, especially in the wintertime, especially when we did our first year that we are actually growing indoors and starting seeds and things like that for summertime growing, the escape of cool air or the escape of hot air, that whole exchange is gonna create a situation in your grow area that you're gonna have to amend either by adding heat or adding a cooler amendment. So having an insulated layer on your garage door, it's just gonna help keep that heat in or keep that cool air in, help stay that nice regulated temperature for your plants so that it's not too hot or it's not too cold or humidity's too high or humidity's too low. So all of these things are going to tie together your grow area. I hope this helps. If it did, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one.